How some organizations is handling DEI is atrocious and ridiculous. DEI standing for diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is Kathleen McElroy, and she is the center of this article. Texas A&M University reached a $1 million settlement Thursday with a black journalism professor whose hiring was sabotaged by backlash over her past work promoting diversity. The nation's largest public school agreed to pay Kathleen McElroy and apologized to her while admitting mistakes were made during the hiring process. Texas A&M, which is located in College Station, about 90 miles northwest of Houston, initially welcomed McElroy with great fanfare to revive its journalism department in June. A former New York Times editor and Texas A&M alum, McElroy had overseen the journalism school at A&M's rival, University of Texas at Austin. Shortly after, the university president, Catherine Banks, and a school dean began discussing changes and reductions in the job offer. McElroy told the Tribune that the initial offer of a tenure track position was reduced to a 5-year post, and then reduced again to a 1-year position from which she could be fired at any time. She ultimately rejected the offer and withdrew her resignation from the University of Texas at Austin as a journalism professor. Banks later told the university she had not been involved in making any changes to the contract offer. Shortly after the events around her hiring became public, Banks resigned. And the university began an investigation into the matter. The School Board of Regents later approved negotiating a settlement with McElroy. The Texas A&M episode came as Republican lawmakers across the U.S. are targeting DEI programs on college campuses. Yes, they are targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. In a joint statement with McElroy announcing the settlement, the university said the school has learned from its mistakes and will strive to ensure similar mistakes are not repeated in the future. McElroy called the matter resolved. I hope the resolution of my matter will reinforce Texas A&M's allegiance to excellence in higher education and its commitment to academic freedom and journalism. And this is on the heels of the faculty member, Joy Alonzo, being suspended because someone said that she said something bad about Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, I believe his name is. She was suspended for supposedly criticizing them. And this is having a chilling effect where people are concerned about freedom of speech in college. The Academic Freedom Alliance has sent Texas A&M a letter expressing concern over the suspension and investigation into a professor for comments she made as a guest lecturer in a college class. The letter is from the Academic Freedom Alliance, a coalition of faculty members from across the country and across ideological spectrum who say they are committed to upholding the principles of academic freedom and professional free speech. The letter refers to Joy Alonzo, a Texas A&M University professor who had given a lecture on the opioid crisis at the University of Texas Medical Branch. During that lecture, a student had accused her of disparaging Lieutenant Dan Patrick during a talk. Shortly after, she was suspended and investigated by A&M. If people are not concerned about how these culture wars are restricting freedoms and trying to roll back the gains of diversity, they should be worried. But if it's not impacting them directly, they are just going along with it seemingly. The investigation and suspension lasted 2 weeks, and even though she was cleared of any wrongdoing, university leaders at both the University of Texas and Texas A&M wound up sending out emails that were clearly designed to discourage constitutionally protected speech by members of their faculty in order to avoid offending students or state politicians. Do y'all not understand what freedom of speech is supposed to protect against? The letter goes on to say the alliance is relieved that the investigation was eventually dropped, but that they feel it should have never been launched in the first place, saying this affair shows a disturbing lack of concern with academic freedom principles in the Texas A&M system. I write on behalf of the Academic Freedom Alliance to express our firm view that the university's actions represent an egregious violation of the principles of academic freedom and the university's responsibility under the First Amendment. They also stated that Texas A&M's university is subjected to the limits of the First Amendment of the Constitution as well as its own contractual commitments. The Academic Freedom Alliance called on Texas A&M to publicly affirm in the future it will adhere to principles of academic freedom and free speech, and to reassure faculty that they will not be threatened with termination if they say critical things about state policy. I speak about Republican states, red states, specifically Florida and Texas, because they are the canary in the coal mine where it's coming for diversity, equity, inclusion, freedom of speech, and trying to really show us what true fascism is in living color, in reality. And people who are not impacted by it are acting like being woke is the issue. No, this is the issue. Y'all jump in the comments and tell me what.